Define this. Rock with your boys.
All right. Let's see, can you hear me?
Yeah. Can you hear
All
me?
right. Yeah, you looking live at Generation Cowboys and Sports Talks. I'm the host, DJ. I tell you what, and we are back with another one. Yeah. So we got the season opener that we're gonna talk about. I'm joined with my dad, my co-host, and I just thought it would be a cool idea to go over some Cowboys Eagles history and kind of why this is a good or bad thing. And yeah, so you want to say what's up to the people and kind of give them a breakdown of what we're gonna be talking about, or jump it off with some Cowboys history.
Yeah, hold on. All right, what's up to the people? You hear me?
Yeah.
So yeah, we got that breaking news today. We're gonna be opening up on Thursday night, September 4th, with the Eagles. Looking forward to it. Um, Not a big fan of the Thursday night games, but we're gonna make this one a lot of fun. So, what did you think about it when you saw it?
Yeah, I'm loving it. You know what I mean? I'm loving it for sure. Um, I'm glad that we can open up the season with that. Um, you know, I've been watching Cowboys and Eagles highlights all week. Really, before this news broke, I was watching that. But Yeah, quiet is kept. Everybody always like to say, "Oh, it's all about catching the Eagles," and we all gotta, the Eagles is this and the Eagles is that. And one thing I want to, make sure that everybody understands is that um, the Eagles, truth be told, and let's just be honest, they probably have the best. They probably have the best sports brand franchise in all of sports. I mean, they're doing, like every generation, so to speak, you have a team that comes along and they're innovative and they do something that is good, and they do something that's new that other teams just can't seem to figure out. And every now and then that comes along, and then so the Cowboys did that when they had back in the day with Tom Landry. He was very innovative, with the third down running back, with passing the ball to the receiver, passing the ball to the running back, you know. And then the Cowboys did it with Jimmy when Jimmy came in, and he had his philosophy on how to build a team and how to run a team, and they had the best offensive line ever created. And they had one of the, they had some of the best running back, the best receiver, the triplets, they started that. And a lot of teams couldn't handle it. They went on their thing. And then you had the Shanahan offense that, the West Coast offense, everybody transitioned to that. And the West Coast offense was running rampant in the league for a long time. And, a lot of players, a lot of teams couldn't stop it, until they figured out, how to put a damper on it. And lately, with the building of the franchise, it was the Patriots, how they came through and how they built their team, and they wasn't really paying their players, but everybody was interested in winning titles. And now you have the Eagles when they seem to be able to, Howie seems to be able to get whoever he wants whenever he wants. He has a way to figure it out to where the cap doesn't really matter. It's like they don't have a cap. They can just they continue to get good players. They traded Carson Wentz for like a lower. I don't know what they did. I forgot what they did with Carson Wentz. But anyways, with Carson Wentz, they pretty much traded Carson Wentz, and with the return, they were able to get prime time capital. I mean, like prime time capital, first round picks that they was able to get players, picks, and all this kind of stuff. So they did a lot. Then they traded and got Saquon Barkley. So they just they're a well-oiled machine. But the Cowboys in the Eagles history, we never are just getting smoked by them. Quiet as kept. It's like a couple years ago we played them. Um, I don't count last year really because last year we were hurt. Most of our team was hurt, and so it's not like last year is a great representation of the Cowboys and what they normally do because it's not. So the year before last year, um, we played the Eagles, twice or whatever. But the first time we lost by 1 or 2 plays, and we actually got down to the goal line, was about to win, and then all of a sudden we got like 6 penalties and went from the 5 to the 40. So then the second time we played them, we embarrassed them. We blew them out. It wasn't even close. They had a couple of runs at the end of the game, but for the most part, they couldn't stop CD.
You talking about the 24 season?
Yeah, not 23 season. Um,
23.
2024 season, we were hurt all year. Um, we didn't have a complete team,
Okay.
and but the 24 year, was the first time in a long time that Dak and Jalen Hurts was healthy. When we played them, and we just
The
dominated.
23 season, you mean?
Yeah, 23 season was a year we just dominated them, and so this is going to be one of them games to where I feel like I love the fact that it's first because it's put Shoddy. It gives Shoddy and it gives the new coaching staff a welcome to the Cowboys moment. You know what I mean? Like a welcome. This is what it's about. We're gonna go right up in there with that. So win or lose, it's a win for the Cowboys. Because if they go in there and they win, that means that they came in and they hit the ground running, and they have a standard in the culture and the standard that this is what it's about. It's about dogging out our opponents, especially the Eagles. And if they lose, it's gonna put a bad taste into the players and the coach's mouth. Like, okay, we have to get on their level because we're not there yet. And
Mm.
it's the first game and it's prime time. It's Thursday night. It's the opener. Everybody is going to be
I'm gonna
rooting.
adjust my light while you're talking. Go ahead.
Okay, everybody's going to be rooting for the Eagles. They're going to be wanting the Cowboys to lose. They're gonna be wanting the George Pickens trade to not do well. They're gonna be looking at all of that. They're gonna be looking at Shoddy. They're gonna be wanting Shoddy to fail. They're gonna be wanting CD and Dak to fail. They're gonna be wanting all our draft picks to look bad. They're gonna be looking at Tyler Booker against their best their defensive line. So this is gonna be a show to see, and I think that this is perfect for us. We want to start off the season just like this. This is how we want to. This is how we want to start the season. Prime time game, a season opener. Everybody want us to lose. Everybody gonna want us to be the downfall. Everybody gonna want us to be the underdog. They're gonna be rooting against us, rooting against Tyler Booker, Dak, George Pickens. So this is a chance for us to come in and really, really get things going.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see too what happens with the schedule the rest of the year. I had kind of thought the way this was kind of looking at, we might get less prime time games, and they kick us off at 12 o'clock, but we're gonna see how the rest of the schedule looks. But yeah, it's gonna be exciting to watch. I mean, I think that Cowboys, they really got some guys that I think are going to be ready for that prime time game. On the defensive side, somebody today that I was chatting with was, concerned about, of course, our defensive tackle and linebacker. So I was like, Kenneth Murray, Sanborn, Leo File. I feel really good about our linebackers. Kenneth Murray, this is going to be his breakout moment. Kind of get his game turned around. He put it like this: the guys that we got on the team, that we added, Kenneth Murray, uh, you know, um, Pickens, some of the other guys we done added, they're not going to have any fear going into the link to play them. So I feel like we're going to be ready to play. Micah going to be ready, Dante Fowler, you know, um, Osa. So then, we got our running backs. They're going to be new to the game. That's one thing you got to look at. That's going to be the first time that, you're going to obviously see somebody like a Blue or a Mafa on that stage, but our other veteran running back that we signed, and they're not going to be afraid of the limelight. So, look, I think that our team, if I had to say, obviously who will be favored, it would be them. But I can tell you that they're going to be ready to play, and we got guys that are not going to be afraid of the limelight. So, might as well just kick it off. get it started with them. It's gonna make training camp a whole lot more interesting. I was somebody was mentioning today they think it's gonna change training camp tremendously because they just gonna be getting ready for the Eagles really for the most part for training camp. And those those games are just gonna be important to look at some guys, but and we want to talk about this third and fourth receiver matchup, but we got to just kind of see how some of these guys come together in camp. And so, but yeah, I think it's going to be exciting. We're going to see the rest of the schedule is on Wednesday, right? And then
Yeah.
Micah, CD, and somebody else going to be doing something Wednesday at 1 o'clock. Did you see that?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, I mean, look, I want to ask you too. Why hasn't Micah said anything about the Pickens trade? Is that kind of weird? I know I see him; he's out of town working out.
No, I think that I mean, nothing is weird when it comes to Micah. Okay, so when Micah is doing something to me, Micah is one of them kind of receivers. Like if you see Micah, if you don't if you see Micah not doing something or doing something, it's for a reason. You know, so Micah hasn't said anything about the Pickens trade probably because he's locked in. I'm sure that he didn't talk to Pickens already. If he locked in. Micah is. I'm looking for Micah this year.
He hadn't even tweeted about it.
I'm looking for Micah this year to be the all around alpha dog. He's focused right now, I think. And so I don't find it weird though. I don't. It's finna be on. It's finna get popping. Uh let's see. But yeah. No, I don't think that it's weird, but I think I wanted to comment on something that you said. You said training camp gonna be different. I think training camp is gonna be different because of this, because of open up against the Eagles. And I think that Blue and Mafa and a lot of and George Pickett, I think that they're gonna be, you know, ready to go against the Eagles. That's what I think. I think all of these players are gonna be ready to go against the Eagles. And I think that the Eagles are gonna be like a step slow because they're coming off a championship.
Well,
And
now they're gonna be raising a banner that night, so they're gonna be hyped.
yeah,
In
they'll
this
be
in
hyped.
this in this game right here, we're gonna have plenty of time to talk about it. But what you got to do in this game is the first and second quarter is just kind of just hang. Then that way you can try to this is
But
gonna be
see,
one of them games where they're gonna be fired up and ready to play. They ain't gonna be
they're gonna be
we ain't gonna
fired and
catch
ready.
them. We ain't gonna catch them off guard.
But I think they're gonna be fired. I don't agree with that. I think they're gonna be fired up and ready to play. Like, but that doesn't really mean anything. I mean, it's just like when we played Detroit and Jimmy went into the Ring of Honor. Like, yeah, we were hyped up to play, but I mean, like, if you're not, that doesn't mean anything. Like, you can be
Yeah.
hyped up to play, but oh well. It's just like, yeah, they're gonna be hyped up to play, but they have never seen this team before. They've never seen this coaching staff before. They've never seen this defense before. They've never seen this offense before. They've
That's
never
true.
seen any of these things, so they don't
Mm.
know what to expect. They've never played the Cowboys with a running back that runs a 4-2.
One of the content creators posted a picture out today with Cooper DeJohn and what's their other corner?
Yeah, yeah.
Uh, and it had Pickens and CD. I don't think they match up with us on a corner.
They
I
don't.
don't.
And there has never been a time where they haven't, so to speak. Like that one year that we had Cooper and Amari Cooper and CD. That was CD like first year. So
Hmm.
he wasn't the better out of AJ Brown then. Like right now, he's better than AJ Brown.
Yeah,
And
I
and
think our corners match up with. I mean, I think our receivers gonna match up with them really good.
I
Kansas
mean,
City don't. Kansas City don't have the kind of receivers that we when they played them in the Super Bowl. They didn't have the kind of receivers that we have. We're gonna
yeah,
have.
yeah,
And
it's really not a lot that you can compare our receiving core to now, besides them and
and I think they going I think they're not gonna be prepared for Turpin either.
yeah, they're not gonna be prepared for a lot of things. You know what I mean? Like for instance,
Yeah.
like I think that their defensive line is gonna be neutralized for the first time. Because they're not gonna be getting past Tyler Booker and BB and
I forgot about Tyler Booker. This gonna be a big game for him.
he
His,
gonna
his
be
rookie
ready to
year.
play. Yeah,
Yeah.
so they're not gonna be able to get past Tyler Booker, Cooper BB,
It's
and
gonna be
Tyler Smith. It's not gonna be as easy as it
man.
used to
It's
be.
gonna be it's gonna be fun to watch. I'm gonna probably have to. I don't know. I might have to take off that Thursday if I want to take off Thursday or Friday. I'm sure all over town, Cowboy fans are looking at, do they want to take off Thursday or Friday, or do you want to just
Yeah, no. In the past, I've taken off that Friday because most people get off of work before 7 o'clock. So you gonna get
yeah.
off of work. You want to go to work so you can have so the day can go by fast, and then
And
when you
then
get
all the
off,
post game shows, you be up to 2 o'clock.
yeah. So you
So
know what I mean. And so yeah, that's gonna be a Friday to take off, and it's just gonna be good, man. This is one of when the Cowboys open up. I always do. Me personally, my annual thing that I do is I make the last 2 or 3 times that they opened up, I did like these massive burritos. Like I did these massive burritos. Like I
I
did
don't even
this.
remember the opening game from last year. Who did we open up against?
No, I'm talking about opening game in the NFL.
Oh, you
Period.
talking about the Thursday night game?
Yeah,
Okay,
the
I got
Thursday night game. I typically do like massive burritos. Like
you.
like
No, yeah,
last couple of years, I did the steak burritos, chicken burritos, and like fish and like salmon burritos. So I did all of that.
yeah,
Went to Sam's, got all my stuff, and I cook it all during the day. And then at night, 7 o'clock, it's time
yeah.
for the game to start. And then we played Tampa Bay last time, and it was just like, man, you know what I mean? But
No,
uh
we didn't open up against Tampa last year, did we?
no, I'm talking about when the last time that we opened up the NFL first game.
It was on a Thursday.
Yeah, it was against Tampa.
Okay.
And we lost at the end when that guy threw he threw Michael Gallup to the ground and they didn't call the pass interference. He just like picked Jordan. He just picked up Michael Gallup and
I
slammed
don't
him.
remember that,
Yeah, on
but
the
but
left
yeah.
side. Yeah.
So it's gonna be exciting. We got a lot of time to talk about it. I just think there was an interesting move by the NFL. I just wonder, did they do this? Because I've seen that NFL network show where the guys doing the schedule. It's like a team of people that do it. And they have talked about it in the past where they do make last minute changes. So I just wondered if they make this change after the Pickens trade, or was this
Yeah.
always baked in?
Nah. This was definitely something that evolved over the Pickens trade
And they gonna
because
they gonna show it how they did the schedule. So I'm gonna make sure that I watch that. But the Cowboys, I know Jerry is probably excited. Now we just gotta see what's gonna happen with the rest of the schedule. How many NFL Sunday night games we have
Mhm.
versus the 3 o'clock and 12 o'clock games. I was kind of concerned about the Cowboy mystique kind of losing their shine with this 30-year drought. But man, with some of the moves, they got to be impressed. Been hearing some things today. I've been tweeting with some people about DJ Reader. That's our next target from the Lions. They signed him to a 2-year deal, and they drafted a couple of guys, including Tyleek Williams. He might be somebody to take a look at. Look at KC. See, he joined us. So play. Did you see?
Oh, that's okay. Oh yeah, go
Yes.
ahead.
Send that. I have that. I sent you that clip from Steven talking about Pickens. Were you able to capture that?
Yeah.
I thought it was interesting. We can go ahead and get into that. The comments that he made, comparing him to Dez, and I kind of told you what I predicted they were going to say. He said in that quote in that comment that he thinks he's a number one, and he talked about he brought up Dez's name several times, which I thought was interesting. But I think it also goes back to what I had been saying for years. I think they had some regrets when they let Dez go, and they lost that type of player as far as the intensity, the way he practices, the way he plays. Somebody that's just a dog, the dog mentality. They miss that in the locker room. They miss it in the games, and they know it. So they trying to get some of that back with this move.
Yeah, I mean, they definitely are, but we definitely have some dogs on our team though. So they ain't, like Micah, he a dog. CD,
Hmm.
he a dog. They don't. I be watching CD. CD is one of them players that he don't know how to get hit. CD be getting hit hard all the time, and he gets
Hmm.
right up. I mean, it be hits where you be like, bro, he not supposed to get up from that like that. You know what I'm saying? Like he be getting hit hard, and he always hop right up. So you got to be, and you remember how he was like that one off season. That one off season, he was like, "Yo, Um, he went and got chiseled out. He went and got bigger. He gained like 10 pounds one year, one off season. But yeah, man, CD, we got some dogs, but George Pickens, and that's another thing I want to say about George
Do
Pickens.
you have that clip?
What clip?
The one I texted you with the audio from Steven.
Oh, it was actually audio. I just read it.
Yeah, it's some audio on it.
Yeah, I got it. Uh, I wonder where. So where was that on? That was on Sirius XM. He did a whole interview.
Uh, well, that what I sent you was just what the one of the clips of it, so you can try to play it, and we can play it out soon.
Yeah, I'll pull it up here in a minute. But what I was saying was, this is what I wanted to
Yeah,
say
it's
about.
when you click on it, it's the audio too.
Okay, yeah, I'll play it. I have it right here. This is what I wanted to say about. This is what I wanted to say about this right here. So everybody's running around here is talking about. I think that everybody's just overreacting, talking about if what is he gonna, or is the Cowboys making a mistake, and oh, is he gonna just come in the locker room and mess up the locker room? Oh, what happened if he does good? Are they gonna pay him, or are they gonna ruin their French? It's just like, okay, what is this guy gonna do? Come in the locker room with a mallet and start swinging, and knocking people out? I mean, like what are like? They're just looking for something to say, anything outside of him not performing. There is nothing else that we need to worry about. We don't need to worry about a grown man coming in the locker room and knowing how to play in the NFL. We don't need to
Mm-mm.
worry about. He's not gonna come in the locker room and just set it on fire. That's not who
And
he is.
they did. Someone mentioned that they already got his locker next to the other guys we've been talking about, Micah, Dak, CD, and somebody else that we mentioned.
Yeah,
They're all gonna be right there together.
because and that's one thing that I like about this team and this coaching staff is that last year you kind of seen, like, how we was all kind of like, we like Mike McCarthy because of what he did and kind of how he evolved our franchise. But what we started to notice was that, like, McCarthy really wasn't a cowboy at heart. You know what I mean? Like, he wasn't really a cowboy at heart. He
Yeah.
was just like, like
A Pittsburgh guy,
right, a Pittsburgh guy,
Midwest guy, second.
like Zim. I don't know where Zim is from, but he's still a cowboy at heart. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
he is.
So it's just like, and so you could kind of tell that Shotty is like a cowboy at heart. You know what I mean? It's like, it's a difference because you kind of seen the tide switch last year. You can kind of see Dak and CD, they was kind of migrating to Shotty. You know what I'm saying? The year before that, you know what I'm saying? They was kind of just like, he was a part of their team or their clan or whatever. When they went to approach Mike McCarthy, they went to approach Mike McCarthy as a trio. It was them three. So it's kind of like, when you allow, to me, I like that. When you allow Dak and CD to run the team or run the offense, that's when we doing the best. When Dak is like the leader and Dak is in charge of what's going on, that's the best.
Yeah,
Last year,
Dak is in the Romo stage of his career where he's mastered the offense, and
you know what I'm saying? When Dak sat on the sideline and said, "We suck, we effing suck," that lets you know that he really wasn't in control. Because if he was in control, he wouldn't have been saying that. You know what I'm saying? Because it would have been
mm.
more of a reflection, like, I
Now,
suck.
and what I do like though, there have been a couple of occasions where I think Dak he kind of tested Shotty, and then Shotty kind of went back at him. So they had that mutual respect. And at the end of the day, like I said, we know Shotty's background. His dad was a commanding coach, command the room like a Parcells.
Let me say something, Uncle Keith, real quick. See, I don't see. Uncle Keith said if they some dogs, they need to show up in big games, especially that. Yeah, that might be true, but that don't mean that they not dogs. Because in the team, and when you have a team showing up in one player showing up in the big game is not gonna win you the game. So what has to happen is, if your leader like Dak don't show up in the big game, well, the rest of the guys need to show up
Hmm.
and win the game. Just like if Patrick Mahomes, he's a dog, but if he's not having a good game, i.e., in the Super Bowl last year, where he throws the interception and he's not stepping up in the big game, you have to have a defense and a team that can say, okay, we're going to win this game for him and we're going to wheel him over the hump. It's just like when we played in Green Bay. Dak eventually got his. I mean, we played Green Bay in the playoffs. Dak eventually got it together, but it didn't work because we were already down 27 points because of the defense. Now, if we would have been staying in the game, it would have been competitive. But it's not just on Dak. Like, Dak gonna show up, but if he doesn't, we need to have somebody right there on the other side of the team. I mean, on the other side of the defense and on the offense that can say, okay, Dak ain't showing up. Okay, well, Blue CD, let me just get the rock and do something special. Let me make some plays and do something special to win us this game because that's what it takes is players making special, doing special
Yeah.
things in games, and it can't always be Dak.
And I understand what he's saying too. And that's kind of like what I like about our show, the generation to generation. So I think a lot of the fourth generation millennials that follow the Cowboys, you guys have, Dax back through and through. I think some of the OGs like me and KC, we kind of have that thought process of, Dak, it is sometimes where he needs to be more of a dog too, but he's definitely at the stage of his career where it needs to be more about the team. I think he's in the situation he's in, Keith, with Elway, the last couple of years of Elway's career, where Elway, they brought in Terrell Davis, Mike Shanahan, um, they had Shannon Sharp, and then on the defensive side, they brought in, a defensive coordinator. I can't think of his name, remember his name, and so they had some other key players over there on defense, and they still had Atwater. But anyway, the team around Elway was just better. And then Elway had his Elway moment. So I think that's, to me, that's where Dak is. I think Dak, he does need some better players around him. Pickens, it's going to be big for Dak. I think Ferguson needs to bounce back. So, Dak is going to have his deer in the headlight Dak games, and he does need his teammates around him too. Now, sometimes, we saw that with Pat Mahomes. We saw it twice the year before last. He wasn't playing good. His defense kept him in the game. They started making plays in the second half. They were able to pull it out. Last year, they didn't have enough dogs. They didn't have enough people around them. Their receiver core, they had Worthy. Um, Kelsey didn't play good in the Super Bowl. And then their offensive line, they just fell apart. So I think, both of you guys kind of are pretty much on point. It's a little bit of both, I think, on that situation. But I'm hoping that Dak is kind of like in his Elway Romo phase. I believe Romo, if he hadn't got hurt in 16, he would have had his Elway moment when the team around him was better, but
Uh-huh.
he didn't get a chance to do it because of the injury.
So look at the Super Bowl last year. Jalen Hurts didn't win that game for them. It was all Saquon. So I mean, you see
Yeah.
how the team see what the team did. The team said we're not gonna just let Jalen Hurts. You don't have to have someone that's an MVP to win a Super Bowl. You don't. I mean,
And
look at the Eagles. They didn't because
and
you know.
yeah, and I do think, see if you can find that clip. I actually do think people are not giving Jalen Hurts enough credit. Jalen Hurts, give him credit. He made it to the Super Bowl twice, and he made some plays last year in the game. So I mean,
They made it to the Super Bowl. He didn't make it to the Super Bowl. They
they
did.
made it, and I'm not gonna
Because
debate whether he's better than Dak.
because they don't make it to the Super Bowl if they don't have one of the best GMs in the league. They don't make it to the Super
That's
Bowl if
true.
they don't trade for Saquon. So it's not like we can just say, you know,
That's true. But you gotta give him his due. He did make some plays. We're not saying he's better than Dak for sure.
no, he's not.
So
You know what I'm
were
saying?
you
But
able to find the audio?
yeah, but like I said, you got to give the Eagles credit because they built a good team.
Yeah, they
They
did.
really
They
did.
got a good team. They had a best general manager,
They do.
and we gonna have to deal with their team on
We
Thursday
are.
night. They got some good players. I think that they defensive line, we got to be ready. So
I
Mr.
think that
Guyton,
Howie. I think that Steve and them and Jerry and them said, okay, you know what? The Eagles, they doing too much. We got to do something because they
yeah,
doing too much. They doing too much. You know what I mean? It's like that. We can't just sit back and just allow them to just dominate
hmm
and not do nothing. You know what I'm saying? So that's kind of what that's about. I think. And Uncle Keith said in the '90s those guys showed up and were prepared to play. That's why I'm going with that. Yeah,
hmm
nah, yeah, you're right. You know. So let's see what so
Take us through the
you hear that?
transaction,
you
how
hear?
you
Yeah.
guys got this deal done, and the expectations for Pickens for this season. Well, first of all, we look at him. It's just two starting receivers out there. We don't necessarily even think we take him as more than a two. When we were looking at the deal, certainly we looked at the draft. In terms of scratching an itch. Seeing what might be available there in the draft. But here you get a guy who's got experience, who's had great success in the NFL. Obviously, a tremendous competitor. He reminds a lot in our building of Des Bryant in terms of his competitiveness and what he brings to the field, his edge, and we were, as I said, we were looking at the draft as a way to look at filling that need when it didn't happen. We had some opportunities around the league that we were looking at, and this one, at the end of the day, made the most sense. And whether it was Coach Schottenheimer and his offensive staff looking at him, whether Will McClay and the personnel group, obviously Jerry and myself felt like this was the best action for us, and certainly one.
Yeah. So he said a lot about that. He said a lot that he was, about Dez and everyone. I want to hear. Dez made a comment too. Dez was talking about him. So a lot of people, this was a good thing for the Cowboys. He made a lot of, the fact that they brought up Dez, and I feel that because Dez is one of the people that's been championing them for a long time, and telling those guys that, saying what they need to do, and he be right most of the time. And so when you got your players like, when you got your players like Dez and Emmett and Michael, all these guys are responding and saying different things about the Cowboys. It's kind of making them react. You know what I mean? They hearing everything that they needed to hear. On Keith said, Eagle defense won that game. They definitely did.
The Super Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, they played really good, and that's what we gotta be ready for. We gotta get our offensive line ready. I'm not sure what Guyton. I tweeted with somebody today what they should do for 3 weeks of training camp. Here's my plan for Tyler Guyton and Awesome Richards as well. What I'm doing is I'm going with Dante Fowler, Micah, Sam Williams, Easy, our rookie, Nealon. They're going up against Guyton and Awesome Richards every day in camp, full force. In every preseason game, we play 3 preseason games. Tyler Guyton, he's playing 3 quarters because we need to determine if he's mentally ready to play in this first game. If he's mentally tough, he's basically finna do what we call back in my day, Oklahoma drills. That's what he's finna do. And if he's up for it, he's gonna be good. And if Awesome Richards wins the battle, then Awesome Richards should be the guy. So
yeah,
that's what should happen. And if they, Vach Lombardi has been talking about this for a while. He said he noticed in training camp the rookies that they had that they wanted to really play a role, they had them on a separate field working out with other people versus on the field with the starting players. I don't know who thought that was a good idea. Jimmy, Coach Landry, Bill Parcells, Bill Belichick. Nobody does that. So everybody needs to be on the varsity field doing training camp. And if you're not up for it, you're not up for it. We're going to find out. But don't go to this training camp with this plan to just sort of, just have this guy out there doing whatever. He needs to be going against the ones like every day.
Yeah, I agree. It's gonna be on and popping. These this Cowboys team.
Pull up that photo of Pickens with Steven and Charlotte. So we just producing on the air. So I think what I'm gonna probably do, man, I'm probably gonna have to just my wall back here either get like a blue background, get my other stuff hung up. I'm not really feeling the green screen thing.
Just hit refresh, and then it'll probably just hit refresh, and then come back, go out, and come back in.
Where's the refresh thing at? It's up here in the corner.
At the top
of
the.
Pull up that picture. I sent.
Yeah. Yeah, it's the at the top of the web browser. Just let's see. Let's see. Hey.
Yeah, I'm back.
Yep. Okay. And then I'm trying to find that picture. Where did you send it to?
Right in the text behind the other one, they all right there together. So this is a picture of George Pickens at the Star. He's with Charlotte and Steven. I think that's Charlotte's husband, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
So it says, "Welcome to the family." You got it.
Yeah, I'm pulling it up.
So yeah, it's so interesting that the way they got this deal done, and you got to give them credit. So now our next move is defensive tackle. A lot of people, a lot of content creators are wanting another move at the running back position. I can see that. Um, I think Miles Sanders. Unfortunately, Deuce. I just think we need to just try to field the best team we can. They're liking Chubb. And so he seems like what people are kind of concerned about is that Chubb can have like a Derrick Henry type year where he bounces back.
Mm-hmm.
And again, what I'm trying to do, I'm trying to go into Philly with as many people that are going to walk onto the field and get off the bus. And this is no big deal to them. And he will be another guy that fits that mold. Chubb.
Yeah, but I don't know. Now I heard. Now what's the name? She kind of shot that down a little bit. Jane Slater did.
What she say that they not looking at it?
Yeah, she said that
Well,
was never a part of the
Well, the
process.
the, the shoot down to that shoot down is, you know, that's what everybody was saying about Pickens too. So we've seen some of these media people be wrong. So and then we got the whole really we're in May. We don't know what's gonna happen in June or July. So I still think they got a couple of more moves. That defensive tackle, DJ Reader is somebody that I'm making a phone call. He will be your starting one technique. It's not any question about it. If your starting one technique is DJ Reader and Osa, you immediately you up there with everybody. And then at that point, Mozzie can just be Mozzie. He can, contribute and develop. They want to draft and develop. What I'm trying to do, take a page out of Vosh Lombardi's book. I want to bring people onto the team that's going to be pushing some of these guys down. That's what they did with this wide receiver thing. They pushed Tolbert and Mingo down. They pushed them down, and that's exactly what we need to do. So if we can bring some other guys in and put some of these running backs down, I'm all for it. What's up, Ty? I do want to look at Mafa. I do want to look at. Well, I ain't really got to look at Blue, but we know what Blue is going to be. I do want to take an extended look at Mafa. I want to look at. And I don't know why I can never remember the other guy's name from Denver. I gotta just keep it on my phone.
Javante Williams.
Yeah, we're gonna look at him. So Ty, I think everybody's gonna get a look. But yeah, if they can make another move on Ford, I really like Mafa's take. I do. I wish they would have drafted Devin Neal. That was the pick we should have made. You had the young man from Miami that we missed.
Martinez.
That should have been the pick. Devin Neal should have been the pick, but we definitely want to look at the young guys. And but yeah, this DJ Reader thing, that's one that kind of piqued my interest. And there's a couple of other guys. We need 2 veteran defensive tackle. We need another veteran to go along with Osa, and we need one to possibly start, I think, in front of Mozzie. But yeah, that's Charlotte, Jones, Pickens. Is that Jerry?
Yeah.
I don't know why I thought it was Steven. So I guess that other guy is Charlotte's husband.
Yeah,
So, yeah.
that's who really needs to run this organization too. By the way,
Yeah,
Charlotte
she's
needs
smart.
Charlotte needs to run the team. He said he thinks Blue can be the next door. So that's a bold statement, but Blue is the one definitely going. I think he definitely going to be a force to be reckoned with. I think a lot of people were sleeping on him, and I think he's gonna be the steal of the draft.
We picked him pretty much in every mock draft that we did. But we did take some other guys like Devin Neal, Hernandez. We took the Iowa running back, the Ohio State guys. They said now what was reported is that they really like Quinshawn Judkins. That was going to be their number 2 pick if he had been there. So they
Well,
number one. Their top 2 players that they wanted in each round was Ted and Judkins from what's being reported.
well, and I also want to report too. That Javonte Williams is not no slouch. He's gonna be an average 4 yard carry back. I can't say average, but
I like his tape. I like his tape from last year. I
yeah, he
mean,
was decent in fantasy. You know what I'm saying? He was
oh,
definitely good the year before last. But
but he's one of your fantasy guys.
for sure, yeah, the year before last he was, yeah.
No, I had never heard of him.
He definitely was one of my fantasy guys the year before last. He's one of those sleepers that they starting running back got hurt in Denver, and he subbed in. And when he subbed in, he was making plays.
And was he one of your backs when you won a championship or when you came in second place the year before?
When I came in second place,
Okay, so you know a lot about him then.
I definitely do. Just like Cortland Sutton. Cortland
Mm.
Sutton was one of my guys on my championship roster. Cortland Sutton was one of my championship roster receivers.
Now let me ask you this: if you had a choice between Cortland Sutton and Pickens, who would you take?
Pickens every time. Pickens is like a top
Now you
five.
really like Sutton, so you take Pickens over Sutton.
They're total. They in a different caliber.
Well, now I had been telling you that the reason I didn't like Sutton is because to me he's just like a big lumbering guy. I'm not a big fan of receivers like that. He can't, cause somebody was talking the other day about Roy Williams, the receiver from Detroit. And people
Yeah.
and the quote was they didn't know why come he didn't work out in Dallas. And my answer to that was is that first of all, he was just never really that good. He was just always bigger than everybody, especially in high school and college. When
Mhm.
you get to the pros, that don't really matter. And he wasn't fast. His hands were okay. Cortland Sutton is better than Roy Williams, the receiver. But I'm surprised you like Pickens a lot because you really like Sutton. So you like Pickens a lot better than Sutton. That says a lot for you.
Yeah, I mean, Pickens is one of those guys. I think when we start talking about this is like maybe last year, right after the season, who we can go back on our show because it's documented when we were asking who did we want from what receivers did we want to pick. I said George Pickett. I
Mm.
said him a long time ago, but like I said, he's one of those type of guys where they in a different category. To me, the categories is Tyreek Hill by himself. He's a different type of player. Then you have CD Jefferson and
Chase.
Jamar Chase. It's just those three. And then you have Amon Ra, George Pickett, AJ Brown. You have all of those guys, but those guys is where Jordan Pickett and Cortland Sutton is like at the end of that list. You know what I'm
And
saying?
I will say this about Pickens. The bottom line is he's never had a quarterback. So we don't even really know what he looks like with a real quarterback. The quarterbacks that they've had in Pittsburgh have been absolutely terrible.
Yeah, but everybody say that, but I also be like, man, that kind of misleading because you know what I'm saying. Just because a quarterback is terrible doesn't mean that he's not gonna have chemistry with the number one receiver. Because it's just like, yeah, with what's
Well,
his
that
name?
matters if you just can't make simple throws. And that's when I watched his film, he just a lot of plays, the quarterback just can't get him the ball. So that
He had
matters.
it definitely matters, but it's just like
Now
what's our
you
guy
like
name
you who?
from last year? Our backup quarterback.
Cooper Rush?
Yeah, Cooper Rush ain't awesome, but he gonna get the but he gonna get the CD and
Well,
Jalen Tobin.
I'll push back on that. If you gave me the choice between Cooper Rush and Russell Wilson or Cooper Rush and Justin Fields,
Yeah,
I might take Cooper Rush.
no question. I mean, no, there's no chance. No one would do that. No one would take over maybe over Justin Fields. You would have some people, but over Russell Wilson. If that was the case, then why didn't the Giants sign him over Russell Wilson?
I
He's
understand
not.
your point. My point is, I'm just not with Russell Wilson, what they've been throwing down, I'm not a fan here lately. But I understand your point.
Now, last year, Cortland Sutton had 81 receptions, 1,081 yards, 8 touchdowns, and he averaged 13.3
Yeah, you
yards
like
per
you
catch.
like Sutton. That's clear. What did Pickens have?
Let's see. Yeah, Cortland Sutton he's definitely a starting receiver. You know what I'm
Yeah, you
saying?
like you like Cullen Sutton.
Yeah. Now, last year, George Pickens had 59 receptions, 900 yards, and he averaged 15.3, and he had 3 touchdowns.
Okay, just stop right there. Now just think about this. This is my point. He had how many yards?
900.
And he had terrible quarterback play. Now what did he had a year before? Does it show?
Yeah, he had 63 receptions, 1,140 yards, and he averaged 8.1 yards per catch.
And
That's
see,
dominant.
my whole point is on our team, if he gets 60 catches and he has 1,100 yards, we gonna be in the NFC Championship game.
Yeah, no doubt. No doubt. But I mean, we've had double 1,000 yards receivers before,
It's
right?
been a while. We had it one year. We had actually three. We had
Yeah.
but my whole point is, and we're not even talking about the touchdowns. I think I absolutely can see him having 10 or 11 touchdowns. I just think it's a terrific signing. I mean,
Yeah, man.
they knocked it out
Especially,
of the park with this.
I mean, like he is everything that we
And
need.
he's 24 years old.
Right. That means that he can be here for a long time. He was everything that we needed in a receiver. I mean,
Yeah,
everything.
he ain't even scratched the surface on how good he's gonna be with Dak. One Dak get him into that Dak yard, they get him in the camp.
It's
He's
gonna
gonna
be
be
great.
ready now again.
Now they talking about, you know what I'm saying, Dak don't do Dak. People need to understand this. Dak is like since his time in the league, he's the second most accurate quarterback in the NFL by stats. Those stats
Yeah.
are not off. And then like he does good with those receivers that don't run necessarily the route running guys. Like I can show you a tape of CD Lamb highlights last year, and I can show you the difference between a guy that know how to run routes and a guy that don't. But like CD, the way that he run his routes, it's just like it's like watching someone paint a masterpiece.
Yeah.
The way that he runs his routes, it's just like, dude, it ain't no. It's that's the reason why
And
he is good. But
and
but
and
but
and
you
the
know he
irony is, not to cut you off, for generation to generation, we have different opinions on these on the way. You love the route running guy. I'm the playmaking guy.
Yeah, but that's condescending because it's like that's condescending because that's what's the word I'm looking for? It's not condescending, but it's dang, what's that word I'm looking for?
What
It's I
you
come
do?
up with it. I come
You
up
like
with
the
it.
route running guy. See,
Yeah,
you like the route running guy. I just want the guy that make plays and just
yeah, that's
balls.
yeah, because the
You
route
like
run.
Amari Cooper. I like Dez.
But see, that's why I say you can't say that because I like this too.
Well, yeah, you like both, but I'm
Right.
just I'm just really you know the point I'm trying to make. But
Right. But see,
but yeah,
but the route running guys are the playmaking guys.
they are. And Dez was a route running guy too, as I mentioned before.
Disingenuous was the word I'm looking.
Disingenuous, but at the same time, what you kind of hearing the way I'm going with that is, I said I'll have to say the last 3 or 4 days, you got people talking about he's not a good route runner. You're talking about Pickens.
Oh yeah, he not.
So my thing with that, we know that's coming. I'm prepared for it. My pushback on this is if he get 1,100 yards and score 11 touchdowns, 63 catches, I don't want to hear nothing about his route running.
Don't nobody care about the route running if you're doing all that.
Yeah, no. Mm-mm.
No, I don't really care about. I mean,
And
being a route runner is not going to stop me from
yeah,
picking someone over someone. I'm just saying I just like that feature.
you do need it.
I
And
like that feature
yeah,
when it comes to
and Tolbert is a good route runner.
it is. You know what I'm saying? A lot of these receivers be good route runners, but it's
So
just magic when you see
so
a receiver that
shout
can.
out to, we can go ahead and wrap so we can head down and you can do his thing. So shout out to HTM before we close, and Landlord. They did a great show last night.
Mhm. Oh,
They
shout out
both
to HM. Yeah, I watched that.
and
A little bit of
they
it.
both gave a scenario where they can see Tolbert being Dak's guy. He's Shoddy's guy. and that's who's going to be the three. They also gave a scenario whereas Mingo, because of the 4th round pick, this is Tober's contract year. They're going to kick Tober to the curb. So that's going to be so interesting to see how this plays out. I don't really care about what they do in camp and in preseason.
And I'm
Well,
gonna
we
and I'm gonna say this. I'm gonna say this, and I'm gonna have. I know I'm gonna have a hot take. I think that Tolbert and Mingo gonna both have good years.
so you doing both. They were saying one or the other. So
Yeah.
you're going with both.
I think that they gonna.
Okay.
I think that when they split their time, they both gonna be making plays, and it's gonna be hard to pull either one of them off the field because all the attention gonna be on. They gonna be going up against the third running. I mean,
Yeah. And they're gonna get lost in the shuffle and they're gonna be just wide open.
exactly. But yeah,
That's what's gonna happen with Turpin too.
oh yeah, this is what I wanted to say about this. See, like this play right here. The reason why I watch this play over and over again is just like to slow down CD's movements because it's just like this route that he run on this guy is what is the type of things that I like. So watch this right here. When they show it, when they show it on the other way. Watch this. Watch this route that CD run on him. Oh my God! For him to like, come on now, like for him to just be doing that right there to an NFL
Yeah, CD's my number
receiver.
one receiver.
Yeah,
Well, no, let me correct myself.
you said Chase.
Chase is my number one. CD is my two.
Yeah, you know,
I
and I'm.
I take CD over Jefferson.
I mean, you know, they a coin flip to me. You know what I mean? I just, you know, they're a coin flip. I like them. I
So
like them
now
all.
CD runs great routes.
Yeah,
Now I still say some of the stuff that CD is doing from the route running standpoint, Dez did it. They just never would give him credit for it.
like watch this. But you see, CD, we know where he got his route running abilities from. You know what I'm saying? Look at this.
Amari Cooper.
He did. Like, I mean, come
Yeah,
on, man. That's
but
guy.
he's a natural too.
Yeah, no, for sure. Because when he was at OU, he was a special. You know, we could
Yeah,
not
CD.
believe that they didn't pick him first. I could not believe that he wasn't the first one to go. That was crazy to me.
But shout out to Junior Adams. He what we really like about our coaching staff is supposedly these guys that we've hired, they're kind of at the top of their game in the college ranks, which is where the game is going. So
Kevin
Junior
said.
Adams,
Kevin
huh?
said Javante runs good routes and has good hands out the backfield.
Yeah, I saw that. Shout out to Kevin. Yeah, I think Javante Adams is gonna be fine. And
Javante
again,
Williams.
Javante Williams and Kevin. When we go to Philadelphia, I'm looking at all of the guys that's gonna get out the bus. This is not gonna be no big. They're not gonna be afraid of the stage. Javante Williams has been in the NFL. They're gonna just show up and ball. You're gonna get
Yeah,
guys Pickens coming off the bus. Kenneth Murray, our linebacker. That's what's gonna really be good for us on that Thursday night. We got a lot of guys. They gonna be looking for this stage. This is their breakout game, and they gonna ball.
like this play
Now,
right here. This play right here, I was trying to figure out how did he do this? Like watch CD on this play. How did he just like all of a sudden just like separate from this guy? And he did it against Jacksonville too. It's just like he just separated by like just he just started running faster all of a sudden.
man, CD, look, I got CD just barely behind Chase. I got him ahead Jefferson. So you ain't gotta convince me.
Like watch how he just like okay now I'm
It's a great
separating.
route.
It's just like come on, man. Yeah. And he did
And
it
the
again.
Eagles corners don't match up with our receivers.
You know, and I wanted to say it's not a lot of corners that do. You know what I mean? Because you know, CD is one of the best receivers in the league. I mean, this is just true. You know what I mean? And
And I think Ferg gonna bounce back. I'm really intrigued by our tight end that we watched the other night.
yeah,
Keep an eye on him.
yeah. And like you said, I think Ferg gonna have a hell of a year because you're gonna have focus on CD wherever he's at. Then you're gonna have George Pickens on the outside. So the two players that's gonna get open the most is gonna be Tolbert Mingo and Ferguson in the middle of the field. So those they gonna be, and then with Ferguson, you know, Ferguson he gonna get some attention too because Ferguson is not a possession tight end. You know, Ferguson can get the ball and he making the first and second and third person miss.
He have a bounce back year. Let's go ahead and wrap and head down. So we're gonna come in on Wednesday night when the schedule is released.
It's gonna be
Talk
released
about the
Friday.
schedule. It's Friday.
Yeah, I think so.
All right.
That's what I'm gonna keep it.
Oh, okay. Well, we'll play it by ear. Probably will do one on Wednesday.
And
See what the
so
latest news is.
we're gonna get ready to wrap up. But I know y'all heard about the Mavericks getting the number one pick and winning the lottery. So the NBA is rigged. But we appreciate that. and we needed that.
And we still need to fire Nico.
We still need to fire Nico, and then we still need to get
Don't
someone
care.
like KD or Giannis. Yeah, we don't care. We need to fire him. But the NBA, they realized that okay, yeah, the Mavericks are probably one of the most hottest markets in the NBA. So for us to just allow their franchise to be just like, they're
Yeah,
losing millions and millions and millions of dollars. You know what I mean? So
they're
they had,
getting ready to.
well, they're trying to
And
recruit.
Cooper Flag is a great player.
I mean, he's this
Now
year.
people are talking about them trading that pick to get Giannis or KD. Would you trade the pick for one of them? I wouldn't.
Absolutely not.
Now
Absolutely
Giannis,
no.
I would
We
be
no.
tempted.
No, no. Well, no. We just figured out that they don't do good with trades. So
Yeah.
they would
Well, I
trade
would be
him.
trying to figure out a way to get Giannis on the team with him.
Yeah,
The
yeah,
same with KD. KD, you should be able to get KD on the team without giving up a lot. So yeah,
yeah. If you get the yeah,
Dallas
you can,
Cowboy fan, thanks for joining.
yeah, for sure.
Sorry, we
If,
bouncing off.
yeah. So yeah, if you get yeah, shout out to you, Dallas Cowboy fan. Um yeah, if you got to get him and Giannis on the same team. You can give up Clay and somebody else, and probably
And Dallas Cowboy fans may be one of my guys that I follow on Twitter. So hopefully we can get him back on our next show.
for sure.
Yeah.
Shout out to you, Dallas Cowboy fan. Yeah, so we're gonna wrap it up, guys. We guys appreciate you for watching and coming and joining us. We had a lot of views on our last video, a lot of likes, so we appreciate that. It really ran the numbers up for us, helped us with the algorithm. So we appreciate that. And make sure you hit the notification bell. We're gonna come back Wednesday and drop some fire and figure out what we got going on. And hopefully by then George Pickens has done an interview because he hasn't done one yet. So we
Mhm.
want to see him do an interview so he can, so that can hit the news cycle. But we'll see what's going on. So everybody make sure you comment, like, and subscribe. And again, we appreciate y'all. We'll see y'all on the next one.